Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am recording this video to show you how the solution would be like to the second component of our midterm exam. So because all the versions of the questions will be similar, so I'm going to only do the version A. Okay, that's the question I'm going to talk about it. And then version B and C are very similar. Okay. So just to start in this question, okay, the Almond company is a builder of a large digital networks. In the midst of the high-tech technology euphoria, the company bid and won a $70 million contract to build a network for the country of India. Details on the project over the 3 years are as follow. So you can see that the numbers are in millions. There are 3 years. So here, the cumulative cost, okay? Cumulative cost, sorry, I lost my mouse, so give me a second. Okay, so cumulative, okay, so cumulative cost incurred. So I have cumulative cost incurred. Okay, so in the first year, year one, okay, year one, so that's 20, right? That's 20 million. So additional cost to complete. Additional cost to complete. So this one is 60, right? 60. So the total cost, total expected total cost. So that's going to be the cumulative, okay, the C3 plus C4, right? So it will be 80,000, okay? And you know that the expected project loss, okay? So the price is 70 minus total cost. So that's gonna be 80. So you are expecting the project will lose 10 million, right? Okay, so the percentage of completion, so the cumulative cost, which is C3, divided by total expected cost, C5. Okay, that's 25%. I think many of you have this number correct, 25%. So then the cumulative revenue to date, we are using the 25% C8 times, or what is that? 70, right? 70. That's the contract price. So 17.5. Okay, 17.5. So the revenue recognized previously, revenue recognized before. Okay, this is the first year. So the revenue, no revenue has recognized. So that's 0. So the revenue for current year, so that's going to be C9 minus C10. Okay, 17.5. Okay, so what is my cost? My actual cost, okay, this is the first year, that equals my cumulative cost, C3. First year, there's no cost in previous years, minus 0, that's 20, okay. So then I'm going to have the difference, C11 minus C12, which is 3 million. Okay, so that should not be 3. I need to keep 2 decimal. Okay, so I don't have mouse. How should I do this? Okay, just leave it like that for now. Okay, and then expected loss, expected future loss. Okay, so what's the remaining completion? Remaining percentage to complete. So this is equals 1 minus C8. Okay, so you have already completed 25%. So what's left is 75%. Okay, and then what is the expected project loss? That's the C6, right? So the future loss here, expected future loss, that equals here is A16 times the expected project loss, which is C6. Okay, so that's your expected future loss. Okay, so what is your loss? The loss for the year will be C13 plus C14. So the loss is 10 million, right? That's pretty obvious, right? Because 70 minus 80, right? That's the $10 million loss. You have to recognize that in the first year. Okay, year two. I don't have mouse, so I'm kind of clumsy now, but year two, the cumulative cost now is 50, okay? Additional cost to complete is 50. Total expected loss would be C3 plus C4. No, sorry. So that'll be D3, right? D3 plus D4, 100, right? What's the total project loss? Okay, the project price 70 minus D5. So you are now saying the expected project loss will be 30. Okay, what's the percentage of completion? Cumulative cost incurred, D3, divided by total expected cost. So that's the D5. So 50%. What's the cumulative revenue? Okay, D8 times 70. So cumulative revenue should be 35. What's the revenue recognized before? That would be C8, right? That would be C11, right? Okay, so now for this year, the revenue recognized for year two would be the difference. So D9 minus D10. So 17.5, okay? What's the actual cost for year two? Somebody just used 50, that's wrong, because 50 is not the actual cost for year two. It's the total cost, cumulative cost for year one and year two. So therefore, the actual cost for year two is D3 minus C3. So that's 30, right? 30. Okay, so now what is my difference between the two? D11, D12. Wow, if you don't have mouse, it's really hard to do this. So that's the difference. Now, what is the expected loss? What's the percentage remaining? 1 minus, that will be D8, right? 1 minus 50%, 50% left. What's the expected project loss? 30, right? That's a D6. So here would be D16, the 50% times D6, that's the 30 loss. So that's the expected loss you recognized based on your information at the end of the first year, at the end of the second year. So the whatever you did for the first year should not be accurate, right? Because at that time you have different information. So you have to reverse. You have to reverse the year one, okay? Expected loss. So what am I saying here is the expected future loss is not 7.5. It's actually 15, right? So how am I going to fix this? I'm going to reverse the 7.5 by adding it back, and then I'm going to take the 15 off, right? That's the expected loss. Okay, so now what is my loss for the year? Okay, so I'm going to have D13 plus D14 plus D15 So for year 2, I recognize $20 million loss. That's accurate, right? So in total, at the end of year 2, I recognize the 10 million plus 20 million, 30 million, and that's the project loss, right? Because 70 million minus the 100 million, that's the $30 million loss, right? So these two has to add to be 30, right? To 30. Okay, so what's year 3? Year 3 here, that's the 80 here. Additional completion is 0. Total expected loss, total the actual loss, the actual cost. What's the total cost, right? The total cost would be just 80, right? Would be just 80. So the total expected loss project, so 70 minus 80, right? Oops. Okay, so it will be 70 minus, so that would be $10 million expected loss for the project. Completion, that's 100% completed last year. Cumulative revenue to date. So you should recognize the full amount of revenue, 70, right? Revenue recognized before, okay, that's gonna be 35, okay, 35. D9. So revenue for current year, for year 3, would be a difference. That would be E9 minus E10. So you're going to recognize 35 revenue. So first year, you recognize the 17.5. Second year for the same amount, together the 35. The last year, recognize another 35 to add up to be 70, right? The actual cost, so 30, 20 plus 30, 50, and the total is 80. So you have 80 E3 minus, okay, minus actually D3, okay. And what's the profit? So you're gonna use E11 minus E12. What's the expected future loss in the final year? It's 0, right? Because there's no future. There's no future in the final year. And you have to reverse the one from the previous years, right? Because that number is not accurate anymore, right? Remember that expected future loss is estimated at the end of each year based on the information available, right? So when you move to the next year, right, you have to reverse the previous number and make a new assessment, right? We know there's no future. This is the final year. So if there's no future, then the future expected loss will be 0. But you have to reverse the number from the previous year, right? Reverse the previous year's number. So this tells me I'm going to do it. What is that? So that's going to be E13 plus E14 plus E15. So I have a $20 million profit. So now if you add them up, so the first year you recognize the $10 million loss. Second year you recognize the $20 million loss. In total, you recognize the $30 million loss. And in the last year, you recognize $20 million profit. So in total, you recognize $10 million loss, which is correct, right? Because your project price is 70, total actual cost is 80. So 70 minus 80 is $10 million loss. So all these three numbers add up to be $10 million together, right? Okay, so that's it. Let's see if my mouse is ready yet.